Hello everyone, welcome to this video. This is our lecture number 3. In the previous video, that is lecture number 2, we discussed two important concepts, keywords and literals. So those who haven't seen that video, kindly go and check the video before starting with lecture number 3. In this video, we are going to discuss two important concepts, variable and identifier. Now, the point is, what is a variable? The answer is, variable is nothing but a reserved memory location to store values to be used in the program. Whenever we are writing program, in the program we do several operations. In those operations, we use several values, and those values are kept in form of variables. Like example is, to calculate the area of a rectangle, we need the length and the width of the rectangle. So if I am writing a program to calculate the area of a rectangle, I will keep two variables to store length and width of the rectangle so that I can use them to calculate the area of a rectangle. An equation has been given below, and I think most of you have already gone through this in your maths. 2x plus 3j minus 5k is equal to 0. In this equation, x, j and k are the variables of the equation, and we can assign different values to these variables, and similarly 2, 3 and 5 are coefficients. Similar to x, j and k, our variables are also there in the program where we can assign several values. Now, before proceeding further, let's take some example of variables. So let's start the Python and let's create some variables. Say I have created a variable a is equal to 10. Everyone is aware of equal to is an assignment operator. Whenever we assign a value to a variable, we use equal to. So this equation a is equal to 10 means 10 is the value being assigned onto a. If I print this, don't worry about this print statement, it is used to display any of the thing in Python programs. I will be discussing print in detail in this video at the end. So if I have to display the value of a, I will simply call print. Why I am using, I can even simply display here I can simply write a and can display the value, but I want you to come into the habit of using print. So the same thing, if I have to display the value of a, I can print the value of a through print. Now, if I create a second variable, a is equal to 10, b is equal to 10, and if I print its value also, it will be the same way. Now, what are the data type of these two variables, a and b? If you look onto this value, 10 and 10, these are numbers. And if you have gone through the lecture number 2, we have already discussed that there are 5 different type of values, 5 different types of primitive data types which are supported by Python. Integer means whole numbers, non-decimal numbers. So in these two examples, a and b are having 10. So these are the non-decimal numbers known as integer. If you want to check what is the type of the variable, there is a built-in function known as type. In the function, if I pass the name of the variable, look, it's clearly specifying int, means integer. Similarly, if I write type b, it will also specify int, which means both these variables are storing the values of integer type. Now let's create some variable of float type, 12.54, and if I print this c variable, I will find this 12.54, and if I check the type of this variable c, it's float. And let's create one more variable, say name, and here I am going to store a name. All these things have been briefly discussed in the lecture number 2. So if I print this name, What will be the answer? John. And if I check the type of this variable name, what will I get? str. Str means string. The data type of this is name variable is string because it is storing text value. Similarly, we have two more data type. One is boolean and other is none. So let's create a boolean variable. Say b is equal to, we all are aware boolean is composed of two values, true and false. So if I print the value of b, I will get true, and if I check the type of the variable b, it will give you bool. Bool is the sort of boolean. Similarly, we have one more data type which is known as none. So if I assign none value to a variable and if I print the value of the variable, none will be displayed, and if we check the type of the variable d, it will be none type. We have already discussed these data type in the previous video. Here we are just focusing upon the variable. So a variable in a Python can store any of the data type, the values of any of the data type which are being supported by Python language. So here we have created variable of integer type, and we can even check the data type of any of the variable. Then we have created few float variable, then string variable, then boolean variable, and similarly we have created a variable of none type. Now if I do not further require any of the variables, say I have defined the variable a at the very top, it's still existing. After so many statements, if I display it again, it will give you 10 again because it is already existing, which has been created at the very top. So if I have to delete any variable which is not further required, we can use del function, del name of the variable. See, now if you have to check whether it has been deleted or not, we can simply check. Now this time it is saying no a name is defined, that means it has been successfully deleted. Similarly, if you check, we have created a variable c with a float value 12.54. if I need to access it again, I can check it again, it's still there 12.5, but if I say del space c and then I try to again access the variable c, look, name c is no further defined, not defined because we have deleted it. Now we can check one more thing. Let's say we have already created a variable with name. Okay, we have already created. Now please remember, the name of the variable is case sensitive. If I try to access the same variable with a different case, here what we have done nothing major. We have only changed the case of the first alphabet of the variable's name into capital N. And now if I try to access it, it will say name is not defined. That means Python variables are always case sensitive. So please be careful when you are using a variable, the spelling as well as the case of the variable's name should be correct. Now let's talk about one more thing. If you look onto the notebook, there is a question, why is variable necessary if we are able to directly use the values? What do this statement want to say? For example, say I have to calculate the area of a rectangle and I say the length of the rectangle is 10 and the width of the rectangle is 20, and if I multiply these two values, those who are new to the programming, don't get confused. In programming, the multiplication is represented by asterisk because here we cannot use X symbol because X symbol will be used as an alphabet. Okay, so if the question is why is the variable necessary or required if I can directly access? Yes, let's check this. We have got the area of a rectangle. Say I want to calculate the area of one more rectangle whose length is 12 and say width is 5. Here is the area. Now if I say please compare the area of these two rectangles, or if I say kindly tell me which length is greater or which length is less. We cannot compare those values because we have calculated and displayed the value. Or if I say please use that same length and width again, then you have to write the same value. But if I would have created those in form of variables, say L is equal to, not L, L1 is equal to 10, W1 is equal to 20. Here we have created two variables, one is L1 and other is W1, that is length 1 and width 1. And don't worry about the name. Here we have used a number in the name of the variable. We will be discussing the rules about the name of the variable in detail. So if we have created two variables L1 and W1, and now if I am going to create the area of the rectangle, first rectangle, and I say L1 multiplied by W1. Similarly, if I store L2 is equal to 12, W2 is equal to 5, and area 2 is equal to L2 multiplied by W2. Now if you are asked that whether the first area is greater than the second area, we can easily compare them. Look, it's true, yes. Or if I need to compare the rectangle of the length of the two rectangle, I can even compare that. False, because the first length is less than the second length. So that is why for the reusability of the values, if we have to reuse the values, these variables are very important. If we are keeping the value in form of variable, we can further reutilize them into the program. Now let's talk about the rules of deciding the name of the variable. But before that, let me tell you about the second topic, which is known as identifier. Now what is an identifier? Basically, identifier is nothing but the name assigned by the user to the different objects in the program. For example, in this case, if you look onto this program, we are using several names for this variable: L1, W1, area 1, area 2, L2, W2. These names, which are being decided by the user or by the programmer for the various component, various objects of the program. Like here in this example, we are deciding the name for the variables for our use. Apart from this variable, there are many other elements in the program which we are going to experience in the future programs. That there will be various elements for whom the names will be decided by the programmer. So these names which we are deciding are nothing but the identifier. And there are certain rules. Whenever we are using an identifier, there are certain rules and regulations. And those rules are very important, otherwise we will end with an invalid identifier. Now, rule number one. Rule number one say an identifier cannot use a keyword. We have already discussed the keywords in the first program. We have already discussed the keyword in the previous lecture, that is lecture number 2. So the first rule say any identifier, means any name which we are using for any element, like name of a variable, cannot be a keyword. An identifier cannot start with a number. We cannot start an identifier with a number. Now, no special character can be used in an identifier except underscore. Only underscore can be used in the variable's name. No other special character can be used. Okay, so what is this? First rule says that an identifier cannot be a keyword. There are certain words which do have a predefined meaning, and those words cannot be used as identifier. An identifier cannot start with a number, although we can have number in the identifier, but cannot be at the first place. No special character can be used in the identifier except underscore. Underscore is the exceptional case which can be used in the identifier. So what is the identifier? Identifier is nothing but the name used for the various element in the program, and we are looking on to our example also. We are using these names for different variables. These names are also identifier. So now let's try out some variable. Say we have already discussed that for is equal to 10. Now look, this is giving an error when I am trying to create a variable with the name for. The reason is the for is a keyword, so I cannot use a keyword. There are some more keywords. Say true, we are all aware this is a boolean value. And if I am trying to create a variable with the name true, it's again complaining. Second rule says I cannot start a name with number. Here we are using number but not at the first place. Let's try to use a variable name with number at the first place. Again look, it's saying that it's complaining about this number, that I cannot use any identifier or any name for any element, whether it's variable or any other element which is starting with a number. And what was the third rule? I cannot use any special operator. Say area at the rate 1 is equal to 10. Again it's complaining that this is the problem, that is at the rate. I cannot use any special character, although underscore is totally fine. Look, when I am using area underscore 1, it's fine. Other than underscore, no other special character can be used. And underscore can even be at the beginning of a variable. Look, underscore abc is fine, but number cannot start the name of a variable. So I hope variables and identifiers are clear to everyone. Okay, before completing the video, let me tell you a small fact. If you see the rules of identifier, it states that an identifier cannot use a keyword. Okay, it's fine, but we are not aware of all the keyword, and I have already told we don't even have to memorize it. You can check the lecture number 2. But if in any place want to check what are the names of the various keywords in Python, you can do it by a small code, and I am just giving you an example. This you don't have to memorize it. It's just a way if you want to check how many keywords are present in your current Python or current version of Python which we are using. We can use this. Please check this. What I have done, I have imported a module. Don't worry about module, we will be discussing it. It's just for knowledge that you can write these two statements simply and can print all the keywords which are present in Python. Now you can check false, none, true and all. You don't have to memorize, just for your knowledge I have given this information. So thank you very much. This is all for this video. See you in the next video.